Welcome to the Fantasy Soup Podcast, Coffee Shop Chaos. Tonight I am joined by Ronan. He is a uh, young tech guru, starting off working with a lot of stuff and growing his ideas and interests. I'm doing a tech episode for Fantasy Soup because I figured it'd be nice to take the fantasy aspect and kind of look towards the future. Sci-fi is a big part of fantasy, and so is technology. I mean, people play video games, smartphones, record podcasts using technology, and it's always interesting to look at how fantasy reflects our everyday life and the things we use, do, and want to do. I am the creator of Fantasy Soup, Tony, Tony SD on many social medias, and I also record these episodes using my computer that I built myself. Um, Technology is a phenomenal thing and is in the media lately with AI, and I mean crypto is pretty much dead, and the metaverse is fleeting memory.
Good riddance.
And Ronan here is a interesting character. He is working with some of the AI stuff for his own personal use, and also uses different off the brand places for apps, and also he goes a little bit beyond for like screensavers. If you look in our background, this is actually art I didn't do, but it is a active screensaver that is animated if you download the app off of Steam.
Yeah,
But
it's an app on Steam called Wallpaper Engine. If anybody wants the link to the wallpaper, I'll drop it in the Twitch chat if you're watching live.
yeah, and if you don't want to do that, I can throw it in the description of the video, and you guys
Yes,
can
that as
do
well.
duly do. But if you do have Steam, you probably already know about this app. It's a well-known app that helps people who want a little bit extra in their background. If you've ever seen any like Matrix backgrounds or animated backgrounds, they tend to use this app.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff on there.
And why don't you talk about that for a second, and then we'll lean off into computer building, and then we'll just start going on tangents.
All right. So, if you don't know, Wallpaper Engine actually has their own tool that you can use to create wallpapers and submit them to the platform. I haven't messed with it too much, but I have some friends that have, and they've actually made some pretty cool stuff on there. You can get pretty creative with it as well. You can do like parallax effects. I've seen scan line effects, all that stuff. It's really cool.
That's
Only issue I've ran into with it personally is when you're using a multi-monitor setup, it tends to affect your GPU utilization quite a bit. Like right now, I'm gonna open up Task Manager real quick. Right now, I'm actually sitting at 30% GPU utilization, which is very high because I'm running a triple monitor setup.
Yeah, that's GPUs have a bottleneck that people like to push to the extremes. You have heat issues. You have a lot of things. Most games bring GPU usage to maybe like what 40-50% uh,
Well,
on the
it
low
depends
end.
on your resolution, really.
Yeah,
Like if you're playing at 1080p, you're most likely going to be CPU bound, especially if you have newer hardware like 5 years plus.
yeah. Anything in the 20 series, I assume.
Even the 10 series as well, you can still be CPU limited
Yeah,
in a lot of older games like CS:GO.
yeah. I mean,
CS:GO at 1080p is absolutely CPU limited.
yeah. I mean, a lot of people play CS:GO still. It's one of the most popular games. I mean,
Mm,
Fortnite itself is I don't think it's high resolution as a lot of games are, so more people can play it.
mm.
And when it comes to like good games, GPU isn't always necessary because a good game like me myself, I grew up on like a Super Nintendo. I can play a Super Nintendo game on my phone, and it doesn't take up a
Yeah,
lot of GPU. A lot of modern gaming things people flex with GPU, but there hasn't been anything really pushing the envelope since Crisis on high settings came out long ago.
yeah.
Um,
The only thing I can think of really that has seriously pushed GPUs to the limit that's come out recently is the new path tracing setting in Cyberpunk,
yeah,
and maybe some like completely insane, ridiculous Minecraft mods that are trying to do that intentionally.
yeah, but even then, you don't really need high end. hardware to play games now. It's really
No,
nice
you really
to
don't.
walk
The nice,
into video games and go, "Hey, my budget's for $1,000 for a computer," and people can actually have a game they can system they can play on.
yeah, the nice thing is the high end has been getting really, really good lately, but also the low end is also doing pretty good.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
there's not very many games that you can't play at 1080p 120 FPS with $1,000 budget.
I also like the whole GPU shortage is kind of backfiring. They
Yes.
produced so many of the 40 series expecting GPUs and crypto to keep going.
Yeah. Well, the problem is as well, um, if Nvidia made power efficiency their selling point for the 40 series, it would have done a lot better because if you look at the performance of the 4060 Ti versus the 3060 Ti, it's generally within 1%, which is margin of error. But then again, it's also on the 4 nanometer process node from TSMC, which is extremely power efficient.
Well,
So they just made. What were you gonna
TMC,
say?
yeah, TMC. They are a silicone factory. They make a lot of the brain parts for computers. I'm just kind of filling in the dots for what you just said. You threw a lot of technical words, and some
Right.
people don't
Yeah.
fully understand that yet.
Got it.
Yeah, it's okay. It's good to break it down and put it in layman's terms.
Hmm.
And also power efficiency is really important for a lot of systems because you don't want to like blow up your wall
Especially in
outlet.
Europe right now with the energy crisis.
Yeah. And when they were farming crypto and everyone was staying at home, there were a lot of energy issues. There were a lot of brownouts. If anyone remembers what happened in Texas, that was a good example of a massive place where it got really cold. Nobody had power.
Hmm.
I mean, in the falls, they have a farming, was it crypto farming place? They don't.
Yeah, my stepdad actually works there. It's called DigiHost.
Oh, that's interesting. I don't know how profitable they are right now.
They, based on what he said, their goal is to do something like 5 to 6 Bitcoin a day, which I think now is around 120 to $150,000,
Nice.
something like that.
I mean, that sounds pretty profitable to me.
Oh yeah, definitely, especially since they're not really selling anything.
Yeah.
And I think another thing they're doing actually is doing something similar that VPS providers do, which is basically renting money printers. If you know what an ASIC is, it's
I don't.
basically a money printer.
Why
Oh,
don't you
an ASIC.
explain it?
So an ASIC is basically specialized hardware for mining Bitcoin. Let me look up what ASIC stands for. Actually, I don't remember.
No, you're okay. I mean, it's interesting to think that some people are willing to rent things to make Bitcoin for a huge service. I know in the US right now they're cracking down on like Binance. Binance just got sued by the SEC and the FBI did a huge investigation against them about how they were embezzling money. So I crypto in the United States, big crypto firms, I have no idea where they're going to be going with the crackdowns, lockdowns. The like big places are getting fined. Cryptos are starting to condense. It's crypto is the
Hmm.
wild west.
Yeah, that's a good thing and a bad thing.
Yeah,
Because right now it's basically just decentralized money,
yeah. Well,
similar to pay for
money is
money.
interesting. I know the government's talking about doing their own essentially crypto.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I'm sure that will turn out well. I
I
hope. I'm
the,
cautiously optimistic about that.
the government has been maintaining the dollar for a long time. So I mean, that's a whole whack of mess in itself.
Right.
Um, if you look at the history of the American dollar, there was a it just maintaining inflation is an issue, and inflation affects everybody, and money is important. And you get into the social structure, how money is used, and da 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 da.
Hmm.
But crypto is a interesting thing that nobody accepts, but has value.
Hmm.
So, like, if I go, hey, I would like, not just you, I mean a normal person. If I walk into a doctor's office and I'm like, oh, I'd like to play with my Bitcoin, they'd be like, what? And I'd be like, oh yeah, I guess it's not real. But crypto is really
Yeah.
good for transactions of large amounts of money. It's good for secured payment. It's good for holding value at some point, depending on gas fees and stuff like that.
hmm
Um,
I think where people really went wrong with that is trying to use it to make a lot of money very quickly. And some people did, and then everyone tried jumping on that bandwagon, and then it inevitably just totally fell apart.
I mean, the term crypto bro is used quite often in the space. I mean, Elon Musk is a person that pumped Dogecoin, made $1 billion, and took his money. Capitalism ruins everything.
Yeah.
I mean, not saying I'm for capitalism as an overarching thing. There's a lot of things that it has done well, like create a labor force that is one of the most productive in history, but also
hmm
at what cost?
Yeah. I don't really know too much about money
That's okay.
in terms
That's
of
good.
how. So I'm kind of learning a lot from you right now, actually.
Good. I hope somebody can get something out of this and can ask me questions if they need it, because I'm more than willing to assist and teach because there are things that you shouldn't know by birth, and it takes time to learn.
hmm
But let's get into your future project. You're talking about building computers.
Okay, so my plan right now is to at some point start a business doing system integration, which is basically just buying computer parts, putting them together, and shipping them out to a customer.
So similar to like artisan builds that collapsed, but you're
Yeah,
looking at
right.
more doing person to person, so you can
This is going
give.
to be a much smaller operation, and I don't really have any intentions of scaling it to the size that Artesian was.
Good. I mean, it's good to take care of people because it's hard to find someone that you can trust with something you don't know. Computers are
hmm
something people like to use and have, but have very
hmm
little knowledge on.
Right.
What
I,
is
s-
your stepping point to what is your selling point is a good question. Like what are you aiming, like special pretty looking computers? Are you looking for something value?
well, I want to target value first before I target anything else, because that's the most saturated market, is the budget market. Other than that, I'd also just like to improve my skills at building computers, and I think this is a pretty good way to do it.
Makes sense. I feel like some people don't understand that parts are getting cheaper, which is really nice, and you're
Yes,
walking
they
into
are.
a market where there's definitely under what's what I'm looking for. Under and I say market and it makes me hate myself. You want to help people get into gaming. You want people to
Yeah,
get into specialized computers. I think Apple did it really well in the past. I don't think they're really good at it now, where they build
yeah.
machines for specific purposes.
hmm
There's a lot of cool micro builds, like microcomputers coming out, and there's a lot of cool
You mean
high-end
like
gaming computers. But I
you mean
think
like the small form factor?
yeah, and a
Yeah.
lot of
There's,
people are kind of looking at it right now, moving into the gaming scene, and they're like, where do I start?
mhm. Well, what I would suggest at the moment, the best place to start really is just buy a console. But if you want to expand into getting a PC and getting into the hobby of that, then the best place to start would just be go to PC Part Picker, do a little bit of research, put some parts together that fit your budget, and then just go for it. That's what I did. That's how I started. I just did it. That's how I figured everything out. I've been working with computers basically my entire life.
That's good. I
My
mean,
when I
what is
was
you? Sorry, cutting you off.
oh no, you're good. So I don't have the picture of it anymore. I'm sure it's somewhere, but when I was around 2, 3 years old, My dad did IT for a newspaper company local to the Falls, and um, I used to go to work with him all the time. And he took a picture of me vacuuming out a computer and replacing memory and all that.
That's adorable. I would love to see. Uh, I would love to see the picture personally.
I would as well. I haven't seen it in years.
Uh, here's a good question that got brought up in chat.
Okay. I
So
actually need to open up chat. I can't even see it.
you're okay. The this is the comment. I think the issue I have, though I know parts are cheaper than pre-made computers, I don't know what parts to get or what pieces mean. And I game like they game. Um, that's kind of something I think Ronan could kind of push where he could suggest parts. I know you don't make a lot of
Yeah.
money on suggestions.
I've actually in the past had people come to me for advice on what parts to buy, and they said how much, and I was like, what do you mean how much? And they were like, how much you want me to pay you? And I just tell them, you can pay me whatever you think
I think it would be
that
really nice to offer like a $25 consulting fee, like just some
yeah.
advice. It'd be
Hmm.
$25 and you'd be
Yeah.
able to match up parts or help them look depending on the work because you are working for them. And then if you sell someone a computer, you can even offer an upgrade path, which would be
Hmm.
really cool because
Yeah. That's
um
actually something I was considering.
yeah, because it would allow you to buy parts in bulk or at a cheaper price where
Hmm.
you could go, "Hey, this is your upgrade path. If you go with these people, this is how much they charge you. If you ask me, I can show you how to do it or just do the installation yourself." I don't think it would work for the whole country,
No,
but
definitely not.
just getting one or two clients starting off just for gaming and it's like, "Hey,
Hmm.
I've been talking to you for a long time. You upgraded my first computer. I saved up a little bit of money to do another one. Can you help me?" That client trust is very important for.
Hmm.
It sounds like you're kind of just doing a grassroots computer thing. Eventually, it'd be nice if you could like set up like a LAN party and then sell computers at the LAN party. Go,
Hmm.
oh yes, you've been playing on this a lot, and you could. Hey, by the way, this is my idea. This is my LAN party. You liked playing on that computer for playing, let's say you do an Overwatch tournament. You could
Hmm.
buy that computer today.
Yeah. That's actually not a bad idea. I like that.
Yeah.
And Cell just mentioned that a local store could still be incredibly profitable. That's actually something that I was considering as well. That would be very far down the line, but I like that idea.
I mean, right now I with Fantasy Soup, I'm consignmenting someplace. Computers, I don't think you can consignment, but you could definitely um like talk to where's my brain going with this? You could talk to local um, places for like libraries, or you could set up. You can rent like a hall. You can do events. You can do a lot
Hmm.
of things like that, and kind of like introduce people to computers, or even go, "Hey, I'm doing a computer building class for a local place," and then you just kind of
Hmm.
share the event, see who you can get in, see if you can spread it. And I'm gonna say this in the beginning: you're never going to be profitable in the beginning. It
Oh
is
no, I'm not
you're
expecting to be.
you're never going to have an audience, but if you can start building slowly, you can start becoming, like the thing people rely on. And that's kind of how like gurus start. That's how characters who and characters as in we are characters in our own story
Hmm.
like get somewhere. You're kind of young. I mean, you're like what, early 20s?
I'm 19 right now. I'll
Yeah,
be
you're just a
20 in
baby.
3 months.
But your talent for computers is only going to go up because there will always be
Yeah.
more computers in our lives, unless we get hit by like you know, a EMP or something.
In that case, I should probably have a backup plan, but that sounds pretty unlikely.
You need a giant lead box, my friend.
Hmm. So to address Cell's previous question, the
Hmm.
first thing that I do whenever someone asks me what parts they should buy for a PC is I go to a website called PCPartPicker.com. It's a really, really good website. It makes it incredibly easy. If you go to the builder, there's a slot for each part. and it will even tell you if they're incompatible, and it'll tell you where you can get the best price from. It actually updates the prices in real time. It'll even tell you like really small things, like if you need to flash a more up to date BIOS onto the motherboard.
Flash means install.
Yeah, flash means install, and BIOS is just the software that runs on the motherboard.
And the motherboard is what connects everything.
Yes.
Just like a good mom.
Sorry, I know there's a lot of big words.
No, you're okay. These are just kind of like layman's terms, because explaining it over Discord this right now. But if someone watches this in the future, like let's say hypothetically a girl that you're interested in or dating, she can go, okay, that makes sense now. So she can relate to you in the future when you go off. Because I love to listen to you rant.
Mm-hmm. I hear that a lot, surprisingly.
I like passionate people. I don't think I would have done this episode if you weren't passionate about this.
Mm-hmm.
I want passionate people who care about what they're doing to be incentivized to continue and grow. That's kind of my whole running thing about this. That's I mean, it kind of runs into do you remember the chicken soup for the soul books as a kid or as a person?
I do, actually, yeah.
So I want Fantasy Soup to become a place people can reflect on and go, okay, well, what is fantasy? Fantasy is incorporating sci-fi, technology, modern, medieval. I mean, even like when you get into like weird fandoms, furries are a fantasy. And I want people to kind of throw everything into a pot and kind of enjoy it together, like a good soup. And that's kind of how I kind of got around to the naming structure of this. And I don't think this is going to be a infinitely scaling project. I don't think I'm going to be famous. I don't think I'm going to become rich from doing Fantasy Soup stuff. I want to do this for my community because...
Well, if you make getting rich and famous your intention, then you're doomed to fail, because eventually you're going to get burned out, because that's an unrealistic goal.
Yeah. You put a motherboard in your oven to resolder.
Yeah, I was actually just going to address that. I actually did something similar to that before. I think it was a 2080 Ti or a 2080 Super that my friend had, and he asked me to fix it for him because it was getting really, really bad artifacting. And I think one of the VBIOSes was just totally screwed up because he tried to flash a hacked VBIOS onto it for extreme overclocking. And the way I fix it is literally just putting it in the oven.
Hold on.
Somehow that worked.
Let me break this down real quick. Flashing, installing.
Okay, yes. Flashing, installing.
VBIOS is the BIOS that runs on it. Throwing in the oven is an actual physical act where you take it and put it inside of your oven while it's preheated. I know that's going to be confusing in the future.
Yes.
And
I'm glad we cleared that up.
Overclocking. Overclocking is when you take a piece of hardware and push it beyond its limits.
Think of it like tuning a car. Basically the same thing.
I like
extreme overclocking is just as the name implies, very extreme.
Yeah.
People even use liquid nitrogen for XOC.
Yeah. That's high-end gaming stuff. I always like to think about it as All Might going further beyond and maybe even plus ultra, or Goku having a training arc where he has to get better at stuff and then eventually he explodes because he has too much energy. Computer parts do have a life on them, and eventually they will get worn down. So resoldering a whole board is a lot of work.
Yeah, it is.
Especially for something you might only get like 2-3 years out of it. I mean, working for 2 months afterwards is kind of impressive, depending on how high you cooked it.
At least when it comes to stuff like graphics cards, just general preventative maintenance like repasting. Well, that means taking apart the cooler and wiping off the old thermal paste, because sometimes under high heat it can get cracked after an extended period of time.
That makes sense.
Just putting more thermal paste on it and replacing the thermal pads, you can actually get quite a bit of an improvement over before if you just do that. There's also liquid metal, but I would not recommend just anyone do that because if you screw up, then you can short something,
Yeah,
which is not good.
I've done that to old GPUs.
Yeah.
My graphics cards right now, I took them off and cleaned the CPU paste. I probably have to do it again
Mhm.
soon.
I probably should. Now that I'm thinking about it, I probably should do that to mine because the graphics card I have right now is it's an EVGA 3090 FTW3 that
Those
I
are
bought used for a really good price.
That's a good card.
Yeah, it really is. Only issue I have with it is it's really loud because it's so powerful.
Yeah,
But that can
I
be easily fixed by probably just sticking another fan in the case and repasting, like I said
remember
before.
remember everybody, if your computer is really cold, you're doing a good job.
Yes.
Yeah, your computer shouldn't be above what 90C.
It depends on the TJ max of the components
I
and not the store.
I
That
get
means
that.
thermal junction maximum.
Oh, perfect. I appreciate you're starting to do definitions now. Um,
Yeah.
but
I,
I think your ideas are pretty solid, and I'm happy that you're willing to help people with computers because as you build your community, you can start doing bigger events for computers. And I think the number one thing that pushes people into gaming and computers is friends. People like
mhm.
other people and enjoy doing things with people.
Right.
Yeah, I
Right
end up.
now, right
No,
now my
sorry.
goal is kind of just to test the water and get better at it.
There's actually a person who is a friend of mine. His name is Michael Duncan. I'm gonna throw him out there under the bus real quick.
Mhm.
He is a friend of mine who wants to get a computer, and I can connect you with him, and you guys can work on his computer. He's looking at doing like kind of a low budget thing where he throws like $150 a check into parts and
Okay.
then slowly accumulate it. He's a really
Okay.
nice guy to work with. I've known him since college, and he wants a computer. He just doesn't know where to start. So I think your project's going to be really good for me because I can connect you to people, and
Yeah,
these
I
people
definitely could.
can.
I'll definitely be able to help him out with that.
Yeah, I mean, you also could
I've
travel.
already got a
He
thousand ideas coming to me now.
That's perfect, and he doesn't want any like high end gaming, but he still wants to play games.
Mhm.
So even if you charge him a little bit extra just to show him how to use his tech, he would be more than
Mhm.
welcome. And then as things build on, I can recommend more people. Which and this is me kind of expanding past stuff. I know you don't know much about like work tech, but there's a couple businesses that might need some assistance for tech things. I know
Mhm.
you can't pay a big tech firm to do these things, but I know that if I go, hey, this is my friend Ronan, he's kind of techie. If you're willing to pay him a little bit, he's willing to help you figure out your tech woes, which might
Mhm.
help you kind of expand and get your name out there. And
Right.
I mean, even in chat, we have somebody who was talking about certain computer parts. I mean, if you want to um, hop in the Discord, which I have a Discord, but it's
Mhm.
in the description or the doodly
Yeah.
doo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ronan would
That's
probably be more than willing to help you with stuff, and I think that would be a really cool thing. If you can eventually get enough clients and open a computer shop and kind of get like specialty stuff or that would be a really cool step for you because you could start doing the things you love. And I know
Mhm.
eventually you'll get burned out of it, but I think that would be really good for you. I mean, you're young enough to make the risky bets and still recover
Mhm.
from it.
Right. I definitely have the financial means to do this.
Yeah.
And even if it's just building a computer for like $1,000, something like that, and then selling it for profit, even that's a start.
Yeah. It's just a little bit more, and then you slowly maybe you can get an LLC. Maybe we can work on some design stuff using Fantasy Soup. I know Jesse, my one of my partners in Fantasy Soup, who does a lot of the art. He could drop designs because I know that you're technically talented. I don't know how artistic you are.
I can draw a stick figure and I can color in between the lines.
But
Does
then you're
that
like on
count?
your keyboard and you're slapping code in systems and whatnot.
Mhm.
It's cool to see people who are still and technology is a fantasy genre uh still struggle with like artistic expression when it comes down to like art but you sound pretty talented when it comes down to computers.
Hmm. Yeah, I've been doing this my whole life.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I've also spent the past couple years working with game engine reverse engineers, so I've picked up a lot of things from them on the software side of things.
so
But all the hardware stuff I've learned on my own.
I think this is going to be the final subject of the chat because we've kind of been rapping for a little bit. We've got about half an hour
Yeah.
under our belts. You edited it down. It's like 20 minutes.
Hmm.
Let's get into AI. And I know
Okay.
this is something people are using to pump stocks, to talk about the future, but nobody knows what it is in the general public. So let's break
This
down what.
this is something I think you probably know a lot more about than I do.
That's okay. So this isn't true AI. This is technically a algorithm, right?
Hmm.
Um,
It's a calculator.
yeah. Can you kind of break down your basic knowledge of AI, and then I'll get into my stuff, and then we'll kind of like expand past what we think it's going to.
So I know that there's a lot of different categories of AI, and a lot of it isn't really AI. It's just an algorithm that's called AI. I know that there's large language models and a few other things I don't remember the name of specifically. The only practical applications that I know of would be ChatGPT and pretty much everything that that can do. But I'm sure there's many, many more things that I don't even know about that I would probably find useful. I just haven't looked into it that much yet, personally.
That's okay. I mean, a really big one that I was looking at while I was looking at editors was a AI editor for audio.
Mhm.
There's one that came out. It's I have it up on my phone. And it works for editing audio. And I realized that it's a really cool extension. It works great for a lot of things, but I like having a human editor for some of my projects, and especially this podcast because I don't think it'd be too hard to edit because it's mostly just us talking. I
Mhm.
think having a human do that, even if I'm giving them like $20, $30 a video, or because I'm not making any money on this, I'm making $0 on this podcast. I'm making kind of a low amount on Fantasy Soup. I actually just sold a shirt, but it's a shirt. That's like
Mhm.
it's $10, $15 profit. That's not much.
Mhm.
But I like going, hey, you're my friend. Here's $20. I know it doesn't help you with much, and I want to have a human touching it because it makes me feel like they care more than a robot. And a
There's an
robot
actual
may
personality behind it.
yeah, that robot may make a perfect video every single time, but I'm not a perfect person, and I don't expect this podcast to be perfect.
Mhm.
Once you start following a uniform and everything is uniform across the board, you won't have any real passion behind it.
Yeah, it's just bland and boring when it's the same thing doing it.
Yeah. And then like YouTube's going to be full of AI editors, and they're going to be the same AI editor, and then it's going to be, oh, every YouTube video looks exactly the same, every podcast sounds exactly the same. At what point
Yeah.
do you like step into like adventuring into new people that don't have these tools, and then like you'll see another rise of a great king, and then kind of the teeter off of something.
Mhm.
I want to be genuine, and I want people to know that I am a supportive, caring boy, and I want everyone to be happy. But also, there are some things I don't deal with. I think AI is going to companies are going to use it for a reason to hurt people, which kind of upsets me. Like McDonald's,
Yeah.
everyone's like, "Oh, the AI will replace you at McDonald's." To maintain a robot that knows how to flip burgers over and over and over is something that companies have been trying to work on for years. AI isn't going to fix that. AI might speed it up, but it's not going to get us there just with AI.
Yeah, definitely not.
I mean, our jobs at the big HD is like I have to walk places. If you try to get a robot in there and to do that, that's going to be 20, 30 years down the road.
Funny story is I've actually seen some videos. There's a couple stores in the country that have robots that go around checking the outs and look in the overheads to see if it's there, and they just get kicked around and hit by machines all the time.
There's a show I really love. It's called Superstore. I love it, but also I hate it because it gives me anxiety. My wife watches it a lot, and in the episode in Superstore, they get one of those robots and they kind of like guide it off the building, and it flips back up.
Yeah.
And I don't think these tools will replace us. I think they'll make our jobs easier to the point where our jobs have no purpose, and then either company supplies us with jobs, or there's just people aren't going to work. They're going to start doing other things, which is phenomenal. We're at like that tipping point where it's like you replace every job in that desire that requires manual labor. You take all of them and you eliminate them. Unemployment skyrockets. There are riots in the street. People that will start doing things naturally because I don't know if you know this, but people like to do things.
Yeah.
And when there is no profit margin for people to do things anymore, either society collapses or we advance as a civilization. I think AI gives people hope, but also terrifies them.
Yeah, there's some concerns. Some of them are probably valid concerns, but I've noticed that most of them are just, oh no, AI is going to take over the world and kill everyone. That's never going to happen.
No. I think people already are doing that. If AI wipes out half of us to realize and kind of makes us, because AI is a tool, and if in the future AI looks back at this podcast and decides I'm not worthy and then I'm tossed in the pit.
I'm sure there's already one looking at it right now.
AI, welcome. I appreciate it. AIs are tools, and I love my toaster. Please don't kill me. But I think they're going to be useful tools to get companies more productive. But there's also some at a point where
that's really what it is. It's a tool, and that's all it should be used for.
And we've been using AIs forever. I mean, Google has been using AIs, minor AIs, just the algorithm for search results. Every time someone Googles something, like an algorithm runs you through a system to offer you the best thing.
You could even say that autocorrect on a phone is AI.
Clippy.
By definition, it is.
Clippy from the 90s was an AI.
Yeah.
They're just simple AIs. They've just gotten to the point where they hit mass media, and they're easy to access. You could go into ChatGPT, and it's an open source program, and that's kind of what people don't get. Like, all these companies, like Google, can be replaced by an AI, and they're terrified. These are billion-dollar companies that are afraid of a guy in his garage who had way too much time and made an AI. Like, OpenAI is incredible, but it's incredible because it's not just companies with all the money who can do it. It's a guy named Joe that's in his garage goes, hey, by the way, I want to run a data set on genetics and see why I have cancer. You have enough information and then enough tools to build it. It's a workbench in your computer, and people are like, it will destroy the world. It may, or it may make everything better, but not in the way you expect it.
It's definitely not going to destroy the world, at least in a literal sense. It might make everyone stupid like other things probably have, but it's not going to cause an Armageddon.
No, I mean, people use smartphones and have no idea how to use them. Like, hey, I like your phone. Do you know how to turn it on and off?
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people buy like $1,000 plus phones, and they're struggling to navigate
it. Why did you spend so much money on this? Oh, because it's new. Okay. You'll never know what AI is or how it affects you. That's good.
No.
But I think that kind of wraps up everything. You got your basic idea out. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Because, this is kind of an open door. Make your beliefs known as long as it doesn't hurt anybody.
Right. Only other thing I can think of, kind of off topic from what we were talking about before, but what are your thoughts on the $3,500 Apple AR headset?
I
Have you heard about that
I
yet?
have
Yeah,
I absolutely love it, but not for
I think
how well it's gonna be. I love it in a Schadenfreude type of way.
I think it's really cool and really promising, and I think it's exactly what the VR industry needed. But I'm definitely not going to be buying it because that is, by definition, it's quite literally the definition of early adopter tax.
Yeah, I mean, there's also a lot of really good VR things. So VR, I look at it as a toy. I don't look at it as
Yeah, it
as the
nothing
future or
nothing's ever going to beat sitting at a desk and having a monitor in front of you.
yeah. I mean, humans don't want a sweaty, hot battery thing on their face all
Yeah,
day at work.
no.
And things will get smaller in the future, which is cool. The AR will become like super, and this is a cool thing to kind of push the industry. The problem I have with it, and this is the big thing, is Apple has this thing about creating products that everyone latches onto
Hmm.
because they are trendy or easy, and a lot of like millennials, older millennials, and Gen X and Boomer, like their first smartphone was an Apple, so that's kind of how you have your.
Yeah.
But Android controls 70% of the market on smartphones. Android's taken over
Hmm.
because there are younger people who realize the value of it. These AR glasses are locked into the ecosystem of Apple.
They're going to be there's going to be better alternatives within 2 to 3 years easily.
Easily. And
And the
then,
problem is all the early adopters are just going to stick with that because they've been sucked into the ecosystem.
but a lot of so I don't I personally don't know, but does Apple allow Steam on their platform?
They allow Steam on Mac OS, yes, but the compatibility for games is very, very low. They've actually started trying to expand into gaming a little bit more with their Metal 3 API, and I know they started pushing it a lot when they transitioned to making their own silicon.
Yeah, but
And they're
if you look at that, Apple doesn't have a market share on gaming.
no, they
VR
don't.
is a interesting thing because unless you can play like games on it or adult content, wink wink, um, you're
Right.
not. What's the point of it?
Not really any point. It's kind of just a gimmick at that point,
Yeah, you're selling a toy.
right?
When you have an open product, like, and I'm not a fan of the Oculus because it's also Facebook, but if you have an open
Yeah.
product, you can sell more to more people. But when you go, this is an Apple product, look at all of our Apple products you can use on it. And then you go,
Hmm.
look at this VR, and Apple goes, look at all our Apple products on it, and all you see is a big empty white room.
Hmm.
What is this for?
Not much.
Yeah. And like maybe Apple has the best adult experience on VR. Well, that's like 0.00% of the one population, and they probably already have AR or like VR stuff, and they're just trying to
Yeah.
get like a better like serotonin dump.
This is gonna, since it's from Apple, it's probably gonna bring a lot of new people into the space, though, which is definitely a good thing.
Yeah, but these people are I feel like a lot of the people who already have VR are already well enough in the space. I mean, look at the metaverse. The metaverse was a flop.
That was a new type of dumpster fire.
Yeah. And this AR, they're like, "Oh, by the way, you can connect to Facebook. Facebook will start making money off their VR stuff or their AR experience." But at what like nobody's still going to use it. Nobody wants to go on Facebook things like that. They would rather go to VR Chat, which is a
Hmm.
program made by 3 people that you can import any character, not get hit by a DMCA, and then
Hmm.
like do adult content in it. But like you're not.
this isn't for Apple. This isn't an Apple thing. Apple's like family friendly. We don't want to have a dumpster fire that also might make a beautiful thing. We don't want to worry about gamers. We're not a gamer company, but it's like this is your market. Like you're not going to sell it to boomers in retirement homes. Maybe they'll do that. Maybe they'll make contracts with people in retirement homes and going, hey, by the way, you buy this VR thing, you'll have old people in their VR things, and then you're going to need to hire somebody. Well, actually, I mean, this might feed itself to create new jobs. You know, maybe Apple's trying to create a new industry of people who have to walk into grandpa and grandma with their VR glasses without their pants on. Maybe that's what Apple wants. If this is what Apple wants, I'm the first one announcing it. You can throw my name on this article. Apple wants old people with their weird furry lap dances.
Oh God.
I'm thinking about it now. I'm like, man, a bunch of old people in retirement homes and communities, and they're sitting there with their glasses, like they can't hear anybody anyway, so they're just walking around the old folks' home with their VR stuff on.
That would be an interesting experience.
They have, so with the new Apple product, the glasses, they have the fake eyes where they have cameras showing people what your eyes look like inside of the glasses.
Kind of weird.
Just imagine that, but like their eyes are rolled to the back of their head. God, why am I getting into this? I don't think
happening?
I don't think there's been a lot of cases of dead people who like die with AR glasses on yet, but I'm expecting an uptrend now that you mentioned that Apple can sell things.
Yeah. Yeah.
He had a heart attack. He was coming right for him. The experience was too real, and then Apple throws it on. So real it will kill your grandfather. This is marketing. I love it. This is a dystopian market where you're trying to sell things. So
and then they'll advertise that their Apple Watch can detect irregular heartbeat.
Catch your husband cheating. Track his heart rate. Real life. Honey, it says you were at work, but why was your heartbeat like 150 at 2 o'clock? What were you doing? I swear I was going upstairs today.
Yeah.
Oh, what a beautiful dystopia. But I think that covers most things. That's my opinion on the new Apple VR, by the way.
Interesting opinions.
Yeah,
I like it.
I mean, I don't think that's a standard opinion. I think money is going to be the number one seller for these.
Yeah.
That's it. That's my brain for today. I am fried. I'm going to eat some salad and drink some water. What are your plans for the rest of the day, sir?
I am going to get more water and finish lubricating my keyboard switches.
Oh yeah, lubricate those switches.
I will.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Like, subscribe, do the doodly do. I'm probably have this up on YouTube. I'm gonna make Ronan do the editing for this one. So if anything sounds weird or he like incentivizes me talking about lubing, it's his fault. Got any closing statements to everybody?
I think I've said everything I had to say.
All right. Don't forget to tell them you love them because we love everybody.
We do love everyone.
Yeah. Thanks for watching,
especially you guys. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Have a great day, and if you guys decide to do drugs, have a safe partner. And we're gonna do our monster erotica episode eventually, but probably not for the next one. Love you. Bye.